This is episode 59 of the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. You might notice we don't have episode 57 out yet, but we will soon, so don't worry. In this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the stats behind athletes who ran both Hyrox Pro and Hyrox Grid courses this season and see what the difference is. Additionally, we answer a question that a listener had about uphill threshold runs and where to put them. And we take a dive into farmer carries at World Champs. Let's make hybrid fitness work for you. How's it going today, JK?
Very well, thank you, Anthony. How are you going, mate?
I'm good. Feeling good, kind of. Would like to work out more. Been super busy. It's that time of year. Maybe we'll get into especially this time of year, that I'm just thinking off the top of my head, future podcasts we can do is how we plan a year in terms of training cycle, how what you do and how it depends on the athlete and all that kind of stuff. Cause I've been doing a lot of that the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So,
how many, just on you, how many kilometers, miles, have you ran this week?
Oh, I'm low, but I'll pull up my Strava and let you know right now. So guys, we are recording. Is today Friday? Thursday? Oh, it's Friday.
It's Saturday. It's Saturday. Thank you very much.
It's Friday for me.
Friday for you, yeah.
Friday for me, and I haven't ran yet today. So right now my total mileage is 25, a little over 25 miles. And it is, like I said, it's Friday and I haven't ran. Yesterday was Lily's birthday. And because of how hot it is in Las Vegas, which the last few days, guys, it's been over 110 degrees, which is 42 Celsius. It's gotten up to 118, which I think is I texted you the other day. It was 43 Celsius or something like that. 44. God, it was hot. So I've been running at if you follow my Strava, midnight, 1 a.m. Just because that's when it's not hot.
That's the only time. Yeah, that's ridiculous. And it's that dry heat that you guys get as well.
Yeah, super dry.
Super dry. Yeah.
But you don't get sweat to cool you down as you're running. It's just evaporates off you as you go. I'm a heavy sweater, and my shirts will come back from these runs barely damp or even dry.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's crazy. Well, it's Saturday here for me, and I've got 2 runs left, technically. I've got a easy 7K this afternoon and then a 12 easy tomorrow. And I've done 116 kilometers this week. So I'll get up to 135. Yeah. So
how are you responding to that higher kilometers per week?
I'm feeling good. I actually, interesting. I'm making sure that I'm eating a lot more. Sorry, not a lot more, but I'm making sure that I'm eating accordingly to the kilometers that I'm doing, right? And I don't weigh myself a lot, but I did weigh myself this morning, and I'm actually 1 kilo heavier than I was going into Worlds, which I'm not worried. It's good because it means that I'm not. It means that I'm eating well.
Yeah.
Right?
You're keeping your muscle mass and you are increasing your mileage. And guys, don't just go out and try to run 130 kilometers.
No.
We've built up to this very slowly. And JK was already running about 100 kilometers going into Worlds, which was 60.
Give or take, yeah.
And so to bump it up another 30, that's he's training for a marathon right now. And as soon as he's done with that marathon, we're dropping back down and focusing on Hamburg. But what do you got? 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks? What is it?
3 weeks. 3 weeks tomorrow until the race.
Until the race.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm
Good.
excited. It's that nervous excited, but not like a nervous like a Hyrox excited. It's like a different nervous excited.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, still a bit of work to do, but yeah, feeling good.
Good. Good. So just on the docket today, JK, I just added this because I was curious to talk about it since I heard a few things and I think we had a comment about it. I want to talk about the farmer carry at Worlds. We saw a lot of people dropping the kettlebells.
Yeah. Yep.
What was going on there? And I think one of the things people were surprised about, people were like, "Oh, they're breaking down. Your grip's the first thing to go." Um, Hang on to that answer because that's not exactly true. Um, we'll get there. I wrote up a big thing, and I don't know if before this episode comes out, if it's going to be posted or not, or if I'm just going to post it after this episode. But if you guys want to check it out, I'm going to post it on my personal Instagram. That's at a wild parasini. Um, and it is a write up that I did, just my own. I was very curious. I had no idea what the answer was going to be. We saw comments about how the athletes should not be allowed to use grid courses or pro race or major races for their qualifying times. Uh, and I was curious. I was like, why is that? Because like in the past, I've always seen it as the grid races were like a minute and a half slower. We even
Mm.
talked about that on this. Then they changed up the farmer carry. They've added some things. I saw there was arguments like, oh, clear course versus crowded course. I was like, okay, let's just see what the numbers say. And I thought the best way to do that was to compare people that ran pro races and grid races within the same season and around each other. So I did took a few hours and did an analysis on that. I'm going to share it here. I'm going to share all the background data and everything, and I'll put a
Oh,
link. I'll put a link to a Google Sheets in the show notes here. So you guys, if you want to take a look at it and you want to go through the data yourself and be like, Anthony, you made a mistake here, you dummy. Go ahead, tell me. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm happy to take the criticism and hear your guys' comments. We have a couple questions we're going to go through, and I'm going to read some of the comments we got on our past episodes. We were away and we missed quite a few things. We literally didn't have an episode for a month, 31 days. And so you guys are probably going to be getting this episode a little bit back to back with the last one we just posted like 2 days ago.
yep.
So you guys, hopefully we can get more out. And I still plan on getting that World's Recap episode 57 out if I can just get it downloaded. Um,
Yep.
a lot going on right now, guys, but we'll get into it. So, JK, your opinion. How was the farmer carry at Worlds for you?
Fine. When I say fine, like I did not drop it. I actually haven't. I can't remember my time, but due to the fact that it was two laps of that square, um, I'm assuming it was very similar to what I normally do. I didn't find it harder or easier. But yeah, I've heard or seen online lately the chat about it. And yeah, it's an interesting one because I haven't dropped a, just to preface, I haven't dropped a farmer's carry. My first two races ever, I dropped the farmer's carry. And since then, I have not. Um, I've had times where faster and slower, of course, like everyone, but I'd love to get your take on the concept of like, and I've heard this before as well. Soon as you've taxed yourself, the first thing, well, tax yourself, or you've exerted yourself to a point, your grip goes first. And I've actually believed that, like, just because I've heard that a lot, right? But what's your opinion?
I'm going to tell you a couple things. First off, do you remember the chalk at Worlds?
No, and the only reason is because I carried my own.
Oh yeah, I forgot you did
Yep.
that.
I,
Okay,
I, I, I did not, uh, I did not touch the chalk bucket at
so
Worlds.
there was chalk buckets. There wasn't chalk buckets for everyone. And in the chalk buckets was only there wasn't loose chalk. There wasn't bricks. There wasn't chunks. There was just these nylon balls of that like chalk was inside, and they were not. effective, like really
Right.
effective. Uh, and some of the buckets, people would take the ball out of it and run down some and then put it in a different bucket. So like
Ah,
some buckets had
okay.
no chalk; they were just buckets. Um,
Yeah.
so that stuff was not effective. And so one of the things is it was pretty slick out there. And I'll preface this with like, this is the feedback I got from the elite athletes on the course. And so this is just kind of trying to explain it. The chalk didn't let them grip the rope in the sled pulls like they normally do. So when they went to go grip, they had to over grip, and
Yeah.
that's pretty taxing, right? You over grip a little bit, but you still got two stations before you get to the farmer carry after the sled pull, but you're over gripping on the sled pull, right? Not to mention whatever other struggles the new sled situation had created. So the the people were having a little bit of a rough time there, but you saw a lot of people dropping the kettlebells and not. I put this together a little bit after, but the feedback I got, especially from the women's race, because they went first, is they felt like there was like an oil on the kettlebells when it first got there. When they first got to them, there was like a little slick. And the chalk,
Right.
if you got the chalk bucket, like those nylon things don't help. So even if you put it on your hands, it wasn't great. They said there was like a little film, like a film of oil. Well, have
Mm.
you ever gotten brand new kettlebells?
Yeah, they do have this little.
Yeah, when
They
you
do have
peel them
this.
off, they got like a plastic oil that protects them, right? Because it
Yep.
protects a fresh metal. Um, my suspect is that these were brand new kettlebells and not all of them were cleaned with soap and water to get
Right.
remove that sheen and
Yeah.
remove that film. So
Yeah.
some of the athletes ended up with just kettlebells that like would slide uh,
Yep.
down their grip. And so, I mean, at that point, there's nothing you can do about it. Just keep going. And it's pretty tough when that occurs, you know?
When that happens, yeah.
Um, but multiple athletes, as in more than, I should say, several athletes, as in more than four, have told me they encountered that when they went to grab it. And it wasn't
Yeah.
on both kettlebells for all of them. So I think some of them were cleaned and some of them weren't.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and so like if you were lucky, you only got one that wasn't like oil, but some people maybe got two that weren't. So
Yeah.
um, I just think that might have been something that came up with it, and I hadn't heard anybody say that before. A lot of people were just saying, "Oh, their grip was going," and from what I saw, no, or who I talked to, they like my grip was fine. Like it was a little
But it
taxed
was just slick.
from the sled pull because of the way the chalk was, and they were sliding. But otherwise, it was fine going into that. It was just literally you couldn't hold the kettlebell because it would slide.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting though, on the male side though, um, didn't Hunter, Rich Ryan drop it
Yeah,
like a
like
number
lots
of
of guys did.
times?
Yeah, lots
Mm.
of guys, multiple times.
Mm.
So I don't know. Either one of those guys I haven't talked to, so I don't know. And I think maybe like after the women's race, if they had cleaned the kettlebells again or something, like maybe the
Yeah.
guys race didn't encounter as many, but there still probably was some.
Yeah.
Oh wait, sorry, there's different kettlebell weights, so they wouldn't have like
No, true.
maybe the
Yeah.
same thing happened. Uh,
Mm.
anyway, I thought that was interesting. Kind of a case study type of thing to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. But going back to like what I've heard about grip strength, is
Yes.
it one of the first things that goes if you are very
Well, it's
yeah,
smaller muscles, right? So they don't store as much energy, ATP. That it's
and
not in
yeah,
there, right? So when it's gone, it's probably gone. And I think yeah, they like there could have been an accumulation of that too. But if you can't hold it, how do you expect to grip it?
yeah, okay, yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
all right,
Interesting one. Interesting one.
all right. You want to get into it? The
Yeah.
pro versus
Um,
grid. All right, guys.
yeah, I'm excited.
If you are on the podcast, you can view us because I do upload the video on Spotify if you want to view it. If you are not viewing on YouTube or on Spotify, you can go flip over to those. Or if you want to uh, listen, I will try to explain everything that you see on the screen as best as I can.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share my screen. So screen is shared. And guys, what I'll do is I will also, this is my Excel sheet, so it has all the formulas in it. I will copy this whole thing and I will paste it in a Google Sheets and I will share the link to the Google Sheets so that anybody can dive in and look at it. All right. Just before we start, JK, what's your take? What's faster, grid races or pro course? Sorry, grid. Do people who run on both, do they run faster on the grid? I mean, you're already looking at it. Do they run faster on the grid or do they run faster on pro?
Well, I don't, it depends. I don't think it's actually a clear cut uh, one or the other. That's my answer. Without even knowing, you haven't shown me anything. So yeah, I just don't think there's going to be a clear cut.
All right, so I'll describe the process here, what I did. I took every person who raced a pro race and a grid race this year, right? So I believe there were 28 women who finished a grid race. So that's who you look at first. 28 women who finished a grid race. Four of them did not run a pro race this year. Those four,
Okay.
Lauren Weeks, Megan Jacoby, Vivian Tafuto, and Michaela Norman.
Okay.
Okay. So those are the four women that did not run a pro race. So they were kicked out. No data from them.
Yep.
Um, Only people who ran both types of races were counted. So the
Right.
first thing we're going to go over is anybody who ran at least one, right? And as you can see in here, I put it in. What I did is I did the top four, and the reason I did the top four is because I was like, oh, there was four grid races this year, and then um, I was like, oh, so I'm going to use everybody's four best pro times. And the reason you use everybody's four best pro times is because there are, in terms of this ability to go to a lot more pro races than grid races. The grid
Yeah.
races were
Sure.
actually limited to five. So the reason
Yep.
I did four though for the pro races was because I forgot about Chicago, and then after I did the majors, I realized there was five, and I didn't want to go back through everybody and add a fifth race.
Yeah.
So what's good about that is there's actually more data on the grid side than there is on the pro side. But the pro side, as you can see, a lot heavier race wise.
Yep.
But basically, you have 24 women here who ran at least both. I averaged all their pro times, and then I averaged all their grid times, and I saw who performed better at each. So like and then I took the difference. So who was faster at which ones. And on the women's side, what you can see is that the biggest difference person uh, in favor of their pro races was actually Seka Arning. So Seka Arning ran all five grid races this year, and she ran one pro race. Her average on the grid was 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 43 seconds. Her average in her pro races was 1 hour, 1 minute, and 17 seconds for a difference of 3 minutes and 26 seconds. So she has 3 minutes and 26 seconds faster than any of her grid races on average.
So hang
Um,
on, but she only did one pro race. Is that correct?
she only did one pro race.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
just that pro race time. So
Yeah.
what else I looked at is in their qualifying time, since it's dual qualifying times, who uses which races. So Seka actually uses one of her grid race as her single fastest race, and she uses her pro race as her second fastest race. So she's
Yep.
1 and 1, right? And if you do that and you go through all of these, there are three women, Joanna, Jess Petro, and Lucy Proctor, who used grid races for both of their qualifying times, which,
Okay.
just as a reference, they're all three are rookies. It was their first year running on the grid.
Okay.
Uh,
That's interesting.
and that would make sense because most of them ran their pro races early in the season
Yep.
and then got better as they ran their grid races, right?
Yep.
Makes sense. People who use double pro races, so they use two pro races, include Jess Toll, Chris Verglosky, Maria Fetchik, Ida Matilda Ruben Steensgaard, Jade Skillen, Tanya Stroh-Schneider, and Melanie Maurer. All of them use two pro races as their fastest times.
Right.
Um, so just interesting. And what's interesting about that is like we just talked about the rookies, but some of those rookies they only ran one grid race, right?
Mm.
So that mattered too.
Yeah. So there's more females who have used their two pro races for their average
Yep.
than women who have used two grid races as their average.
Yep. And so we'll take a look at this. And so I have it kind of broken down right here. And what we're looking at, everybody, is just a photographic representation now. 2024-2025 season, 28 women finished at least one race on the elite grid. 24 of those women also finished at least one pro course. 14 of those 24 women have a faster average time in their pro races than their grid races, and 10 have a faster average in the grid times. Okay.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
going back to the Excel sheet here, you can see in this column, highlighted blue, faster pro times, faster grid times are in this column, highlighted blue. The average woman ran a 103.38 in the pro races and a
Hmm.
103.50 in the grid races. The median time, sometimes people will refer to the median times being more indicative of what the actual way is because it'll kind of exclude really far outliers.
Yeah.
The median time is a 103.31 average in their pro races and a 103.50 average in their grid races. Those are the medians for both of those. Um,
Interesting.
which at the end, if you add up everybody's stuff, their times, uh, overall over 50 hours worth of racing, or actually, if you add up all these, it's like what is it? It's 100 and here, hang on. I think it's 125 hours of racing. So over 129 hours, 50 minutes, and 25 seconds of total race time in here. Um, the pro race courses were 0.0459% faster. Right.
Wow.
So that means
That's it.
they were 0.000459 if you do a decimal place. Over a 60-minute race, that equates to 1.6 seconds.
Wow.
So the
That's
pro,
it.
yep, on average, pro courses were 1.6 seconds faster than the average grid course.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
in terms of what they're using for their qualifying times, 12 women are using a pro race as their fastest qualifying time, and 12 women are using a grid race as their fastest qualifying time. Thanos, all things equal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then for the second qualifying time, 16 women are using a pro race and 8 are using a grid race. So twice as many women are using a pro race over a grid race for their qualifying times.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
little side note here for everyone. I did do this whole study. I did it excluding Berlin as well. So I have all
Okay.
the information if you want to exclude the Berlin course. Exactly the
Yeah.
same.
Yep.
And just a little spoiler for that, it doesn't change anything.
Right. Right.
Uh,
So yeah, a much of a muchness, to be
so you want to
honest.
go to the men?
Yes, please.
We'll go to the men. We'll go to the men before we go to how I pared this down even tighter to get better data to
Okay.
exclude a lot of outliers. Um, all right. So, anyways, in conclusion on the women, though, just to wrap it up, no competitive advantage is gained from either course type. However, a skew towards pro races is seen. All right, so let's go on to the men. So the men, actually, JK, did you know that you are one of the only people that uses double grid races as your time? And you ran
Is
two
that
pro
right?
races this last year.
Right.
Um,
I'm one of the only, and who are the others?
and you're only 20-second difference between your pro race average and your grid race average, by the way.
Okay,
Um,
interesting.
so for the men, 28 men also finished. I'm going to specify finished because only counted people who finished the race.
Finished. Yep.
Finished at least one race on the elite grid. And 26 of those men also ran at least one pro course. Um, just quickly going into the qualification parts of it, or the average times here. 17 of the men have a faster average time in their pro races than their grid races, and 9 have a faster average time in their grid races over their pro races. So almost twice as many use the pro race over the grid race in terms of their faster average.
Okay. Yep.
Uh, Now, if we look at it, what are some big differences? Look at this. So one of the one guy, Mr. World Champion Tim Vinish, his average time on the grid race is 3 minutes and 41 seconds faster than the one pro race he ran this year.
Wow.
On the other end of that spectrum, uh, the Harry Thompson was 3 minutes and 12 seconds faster in the average of his pro races over the one grid race he ran this year.
Yep.
So you can see like a lot of people, and it goes back and forth. There's a lot of big differences. There's a lot of little differences. But overall, if you add them all up and you average them all out, it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds in favor of pro races and over grid races, which means they're 2 minutes and 10 seconds faster overall, which boiled down over 130 hours, 50 minutes, and 9 seconds of race time. The pro race courses were 0.072% faster than the grid races.
The grid races as well. Yeah.
Over a 56-minute race, that equates to 2.4 seconds off in terms of the pro races being 2.4 seconds faster than the grid races.
Right. Over
Um,
a 56-minute race.
Over a 56-minute race. And you know what? I can tell you that there is one person for sure that would really like those 2.4 seconds.
I
And he's
was
looking at
thinking
me.
it. Yeah, I was this whole time I've been thinking about that. I've been like, I wonder. And yeah, yeah, let's be honest. I would have taken that, what, 2 point whatever seconds. I would have
Yeah.
taken 0.08 of a
Yeah.
second.
That's right. So those are the averages. So just going into it, the average pro course for the men was 57 minutes and 46 seconds. The average pro course, or sorry, yeah, that's the pro course. The average grid course for the men was 57 minutes and 51 seconds, so 5 seconds in favor of the pro courses.
Mm,
The median, so this is a little bit indicative, and that's as you the median times you can see it was actually skewed, and one of the big skewers of it was Tim Vinish, which
okay.
is interesting that the world champion is the one who skews the data towards the grid races because you would expect
Yeah.
like how is he like what did he go do to run the pro course like that? But the
Yeah.
median time 57 minutes 36 seconds for the pro races, 57 minutes 24 seconds for the grid races. The fastest, or sorry, the times that people use for their qualifying times on the men's side, as their fastest race, there are 12 men that use a pro race and 14 men that use a grid race. On their second fastest qualifying time, there are 17 men who use a pro race and 9 men who use a grid race.
Interesting. Mm,
Um, so out of the 52 total races used for qualifying, there are 29 pro races and 23 grid races used.
okay.
So, as you can see, the grid races are used more heavily than the pro races, and that's true both for the men and women. All right, so I wanted to pare this down a little bit more. And the reason I wanted to pare it down a little bit more is because I thought racing one time wasn't enough.
Yeah, I
Um,
was about
I,
to
w-
say that.
I wanted more. Like one time, let's get averages, let's get medians. So I pared this down and I eliminated any single racer times. So anybody that only had one pro race or one grid race, I cut them out.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I did, the reason I did that is I thought there might be questions. So what if we only analyze athletes that ran at least two pro courses and two grid courses to eliminate the single course anomalies? One of the things that I thought people might say back to that is the average and median might be similar, but they use the faster grid course as their qualifying time. Well, do they? We already showed that there was 29 out of the 52 uh,
Yeah.
courses used were pro courses, not grid courses. So no.
Yeah.
And then the other part is, yeah, but I was sick, hurt, off, got a penalty, etc. during my grid race versus when I ran my pro times. Like, oh, I had this. Yeah, but a lot of people have that same excuse running their pro times, and there's more pro races for people to go do.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
like, they kind of balance each other out, or um, that's why we're doing the double race as well to try to eliminate some anomalies like that. And then finally, just to put it out there, some of the athletes that ran more than four pro races, only the fastest four pro races were used. That's because there's a lot more availability to do pro races, as well as the pro races that I selected were if there was not a lot of people that did that. There was very few. Like people weren't running five, six pro races and multiple grid races.
Yeah.
So to eliminate that, I only use the races that were surrounding any of the grid races they ran because you would
Cool.
assume similar fitness.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right, so what happens if we do that? Well, those 26 men who ran at least one grid race and one pro race, that pairs it down to only 13 men who ran at least two pro courses and two grid courses. And JK, your name's at the top of this list.
I'm one of them.
You
I'm
are
one of
one
them.
of them.
Yeah.
And that's because last year, what we call last season, you ran Sydney and Atlanta,
Yeah. Correct.
and both of those races, do you remember? Were sorry, was it Sydney, Brisbane,
Brisbane, I guess,
Brisbane and
and
Atlanta? Yeah,
Atlanta. Yeah.
both of those races, you were fully trained that week going into them, so we know they weren't going to be your best times versus the grid race
Yeah.
where you actually would like sharpen into it,
Taper. Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Um, So I would assume that your grid races would be faster if the grid was
Yeah.
faster, right?
Yes. Correct.
Um, well, your difference was only 20 seconds,
Okay.
um, which is the same as it was before because all I did was eliminate people who had single races. So the everything else is the same. Anyway, when we do this, what happens? Well, that turns these 13 men, 10 of them have a faster average time on the pro course than they do on the grid course. Only three of them, that would be JK, Hunter McIntyre, and Graham Holiday, three Elite 15 staple athletes, are have a faster grid average than pro race average.
Yep.
Um,
And everyone else. Yeah. Okay.
Everyone else has a faster pro course average. Um, all right. And so what do they, or let's look at their average time. So doing this method, the average pro course for males was 57 minutes and 26 seconds. The average grid course for males was 57 minutes 38 seconds, 12-second difference. The
Mm.
median times 57:16 for pro courses, 57:19 for grid courses. So when you look at this now, you can see there's and you'd expect it that way, but this one kind of shocked me. It's 6 minutes and 19 seconds. The difference is 6 minutes and 19 seconds faster in favor of pro courses versus grid courses over the total amount of race time. So I'm not saying like
Right.
the pro courses are 6 minutes faster. No, just that total amount of time. That equates, like we said earlier, to a percentage, which is this time 0.424%. 0.424% is like, it's pretty low. It's a less than half a percent, but it's over six times higher than what it was when I used one people that had at least one race.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so over a 56-minute course, that equates to 14 seconds. That's pretty
Wow.
substantial.
That
So
is, yeah.
on the men's race, people who ran multiple courses, the pro courses are on average 14 seconds faster than the grid courses.
Mm, interesting.
So, and looking at what they use, remember that question we had? Well, they use their one faster grid course or something as their qualifier. Well, according to this, it's exactly equal. 26 grid courses, or sorry, 26 races are used to uh, for their qualifying times out of the 13 men. There are 13 pro courses used and 13 grid courses used for their top two times. And the only one that
Cool.
uses two grid courses is JK.
Right. There you go.
And the only one that uses two pro courses is Sadiq El Fattori.
Okay. Yep.
Um, so let's go look at this for the women. Um, if we go do this for the women, um, where'd it go? 24 women finished at least one race on both courses. 12 of those women finished at least two races on both courses. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and just to make it quick and simple, six of them have a faster average pro time, six of them have a faster average grid time. All things equal. Uh, if you look at what they use as their qualifying times, 10 of the qualifying times are pro courses, 12 of the qualifying times are grid courses. So on the women's side, it goes like a two course, like two, a little bit. The total difference over more than 50 hours of race time. And what that
Mm.
equates to, that 23 seconds over 50 hours of race time equates to 0.0274%
Difference.
faster in favor of grid races over pro races, which over a 60-minute course, that is less than 1 second,
Wow.
0.987 second of a second. Um, the grid race being faster than the pro race. And it's the only time you see the grid race being faster than the pro race.
Yeah.
So that's the whole data. And so what I had to do here on some of these though is people that dropped out of the race, I just put their time 1 second slower than the whoever was on the course that day.
Okay.
Otherwise, they would have had
Yeah.
rotten data on this one, um, which actually makes the grid. I think it makes it faster versus what the other ones I was able to do DNF.
Yeah.
Um, so
So,
interesting data,
and
and I mean that's
yeah.
reflected here. The average woman on a pro course runs a 6408. The average woman on a grid course runs a 6406. Medians were 6421 and 6402.
So from my end, like just hearing all this, Anthony, and I want your comment after. I mean, to sum this up, I think a lot of people would see the grid course as more controlled, so to speak. So a lot of people would say that there's potential to go faster. However, after reviewing this data, that's actually not the case. The grid courses aren't necessarily faster than actually just doing a normal pro race with the other uncontrollable elements of let's just say more humans, more traffic out there, the rock zone being different to a normal grid, etc., etc. It's not. It's a grid course isn't faster than a pro course.
No,
That's what I've just gotten from the
no,
last 20
I
minutes
would
with this
say
data.
so. I think they're extremely equal. I
Yeah,
think that's what it
correct.
shows is they're almost identical. On the women's side, they're almost identical. On the men's side, you might actually have an argument that pro courses are faster
Yep.
over grid
Yep.
courses. So, um, yeah, no way. I wouldn't argue either way. I
Yeah.
saw some comments about that and I wanted to explore it. I wasn't trying to show it either way. I was very curious about which one,
Yeah.
if one is faster, which one would be faster. And you guys are welcome to view all of this, all the data, anything. If you click the link in the description, it'll take you to a Google Sheets that I was able to share, and you can comment too. I'll open comments on the Google Sheets if you want to. I won't open editing though, because I don't want anybody to change it before other people have a look.
Yeah,
Um,
please. Yeah. But
so I mean, it was interesting to me to see this come out this way. So what I heard though, and the reason it came up is because I had heard people say, well, we shouldn't allow qualifying times to be taken from the grid.
mhm.
Um, Actually, I don't need to show this in order to show what I'm looking for here. Um, so what does that mean? Well, uh, what happens if we take off all everybody's grid times, right? So if you take away everybody's grid times on the women's side, this is kind of where this is just mine. I don't, at least the 15 are right now. Um, this is what happens to the averages currently. So you drop Lauren Weeks, Joanna Weitstrick, Linda Meyer, Vivian Tafudo, Seka Arning, Jess Petro, Kate Davey, and Lauren Griffith from the rankings.
Mhm.
Eight women. And right now, average only pro courses, the order of the top 15 would be Lena Putters, Melanie Maurer, Lucy Proctor, Amy Belavacqua, Tanya Strohschneider, Manuela Garcia Camparos, Jade Skillen, Margot Vanden Linden Loof, Ida Matilda, Rubens Steensgaard, Charlotte Hagland, Zara Piergianni, Morgan Schultz, Jana Liebenstedt, Emily Dahmen, Alice Schur. That's what
Mhm.
the women's side turns into. And so, what does that do? I also eliminated automatic qualifiers. You just dropped Sinead Bent, Sinead Bent. You dropped some of these other women a little further too, outside of qualification, as well as you dropped off basically almost the top seven of from Worlds. Um,
That yeah.
so, what happens on the men's side if you do this? So on the men's side, if you take away major races or grid races, um, missing from the list, you end up with, and this is as of Hamburg. This is
Yep.
major currently, if no other races were ran. But you end up with James Kelly, Tim Vinish, Bo Wills, Paleo Menendez Fernandez, Rylan Shadeg, and Graham Holiday. Six men do not make qualifying times right now.
Mm.
So you wouldn't be eligible for Hamburg, JK.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Looking at it as well, the list of rankings, not using any grid courses, turns into Alex Ronkovic, Dylan Scott, Josh Van Zeeland, Ador Lazar Hormilia, Hunter McIntyre, Sean Noble, Rich Ryan, Emilio Aguayo, Richard Heineck, Sebastian Iferson, Jonathan Wynn, Jake Dearden, Alan Plow, Harry Thompson, and Yannick Chapla.
Mhm.
Thomas Turdvik, he falls out. Um, you got Hide Wurzma falls down to 31. So I think looking at it, we kind of show the grid races don't offer any competitive advantage over the pro races. Um, those people running the pro races or the grid races, they're just fast. That's why they're
Yeah.
there. Um,
Yeah. Correct.
and then even if you discount Berlin, I'll show this for a second. It doesn't change um, hardly anything except for it flips the original women's from 1 second or 1.5 seconds in favor of grid or in favor of pro. It switches it to 3 seconds in favor of grid.
Right.
The men's side still shows in favor of pro races. It still shows heavily in favor of pro races when you go down to no single racers. And on the women's side, it does show in favor of grid if you go down to single racers without Berlin, but not as steeply as the men shows in favor of pro races when you go down to single racers. Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. Um,
So yeah. Do you think they should we should be able to use the grid times, Anthony?
Yeah,
in your opinion?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I was curious. That was one of the reasons I went and did this is because I was very curious if we should.
Yep.
Um, I wanted to know. On that, I also, because I was playing with what could qualify, what happens if you take away auto qualifiers, which, by the way, I've never been a fan of auto qualifiers, but it doesn't matter.
No.
If you look at it, the if you just go based off of times and you remove the auto qualifiers, it's the same people in. The five
Yes.
women auto qualifiers and the five or the six men auto qualifiers, it doesn't
Uh,
change the rankings.
right. There you go. Yeah. Which is
So,
great. Like, I think that's good if that's the case, because it shows that those five or those six are meant to meant to be there.
yep. Um, So, guys, if you want to, if you haven't yet, I will post this as a post on my Instagram. You can go look at it. Tell me what you think. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can, I mean, I care what you think. I don't care if you disagree and you want to voice it, do it. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Uh, so if you
Thank you.
if you're a
Thank you for doing all the
statistician,
work, Anthony.
if you're a statistician and you're like, I'm completely wrong, please tell me. I'd love to learn what I did wrong.
Mm. Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
there we go.
No, thanks for doing all that work. How long did that take you? You said like a few hours?
Longer than I meant for it to.
Really? Yeah,
Um,
I bet.
just some other notes I wanted to add because I think I'm not sure. I heard like, we don't want everybody just. I think one of the big quotes that I've heard is like, once you're in, it's easier to stay in. And so, wouldn't you expect that if it was easier to stay in the Elite 15 once you're in, you would expect very little to no turnover, right? Like
Yeah.
the same 15 people that competed at Worlds last year or the same 15 people that would have competed this year. Well,
Mhm.
on the women's side, 8 rookies, more than half the field were
Well,
rookies.
rookie. Yeah.
Um, in 2024, there were 7 rookies on the women's
Yeah.
side. So more rookies this year than there were last year. Only 6 people who raced the Elite in Nice in 2024 raced the same Elite World Championships in uh, Chicago.
Wow.
So that means there were
That's
9
crazy.
people who weren't racing Elite in Nice that were racing in Chicago. That is
I
turnover.
don't.
That's
Yeah, that's
60%
turnover.
of the field.
Yeah.
Um, on the men's side, this year we saw 4 rookies in the elite field, and Nice only had 3.
Yeah.
So like, there's more turnover. That's almost a third of the field. And as a matter of fact, only 10 returners from Nice made the elite in the in Chicago. That
Yeah.
means 1/3 of the field was new or
Hmm.
hadn't made it which tells me there's turnover in there, which tells me those guys that are making it are fast. That's why they're making
Yeah.
it. They've
Yeah.
they've
That's the
broken
thing.
ahead of that bubble. It's not easier to stay in. It's they've got better fitness and they put
They.
themselves in.
Yeah.
Um, so just the current qualification system promotes high turnover. Only 53% of athletes raced in back-to-back years
Yeah.
in the elite race, and it gives opportunity for several new athletes to show that they belong. 14 of the 30 athletes did not race in the World Championships the year prior. Um, and that is not even thinking about like, oh, some people will be like, oh, there's no LCQ this year, so that's not going to happen. It still can happen. There's a lot of people that are
Yeah.
going to get opportunities. It looks like maybe 5 people per major might get extra opportunities to try to punch their ticket. They have to take advantage of their time to punch their ticket, though.
Yeah.
So the best stay in the elite field for a reason. They're really good. And then breaking
Yeah.
into the Elite 15, even if only for your regional this next season. I think this is important. If somebody's goal is just to break into the Elite 15 for their regional, I look at that like that's like trying to make the Olympic trials for your marathon or any event, Olympic trials for wrestling, whatever it is. That's about the level that breaking into the Elite 15 for a single race, even a regional, seems to be.
Is going to be, yeah. I wonder if they'll end up having a list on their website soon, Anthony, about regional qualificate, like an actual list, like who's actually in the top 15 for the APAC region, for the American region, etc., etc.
So
I'm sure
they
you can actually do that, can't you?
So they have like major qualification up, but nothing populates. But that is one of the things. Like you can go click on American Championship, Elite Qualification, Women, and you should be able to see it. But right now, there's no current results because they haven't populated the fields. You can do the
Right.
same thing for they call it the Asian Championship, but I think they mean APAC. Same
Yeah.
thing on the European Championship. So it looks like they're about to put it up. It's just not up yet. I did all of this,
Right.
guys. I did it all by hand. I went through all the races and I wrote people's times down, um, and tried to solve this. I know, JK, you had short time, and I did not mean for this to take that long. Uh,
No, it was
so
awesome.
we had more to talk about. I don't know if you want to get on to one or some of the questions at all.
I've got about 5 minutes, Anthony. So let's do one. I reckon one question.
All right. Um, so here we go. This question. This one's been sitting for a while, guys. So I'm sorry if we haven't gotten to yours yet. Uh, But I have a question which may be good for the hybrid coaching podcast. I'm an avid listener and find it super helpful. So thank you for doing that. My next High Rocks race will be in October in Toronto. My main focus is on developing my aerobic capacity as I have a pretty good base strength, but still working on that too. I signed up for a half marathon in the Rocky Mountains in July. Did I already read this before? Or have I just read it a lot to myself?
I
Uh,
think I've heard this. I think.
really?
No,
Okay.
keep
All
going,
right.
because we might.
I've signed up for a half marathon in the Rocky Mountains in July. It's a mountainous terrain single track trail. I do the hill strength runs on Sundays, but I've needed to add in another hilly longer run. So this is somebody that's on our program, my program. I've
Yeah.
been replacing my Tuesday easy run with a more hilly run. I live near Coolies, which have some great trails, but I'm wondering if it's better to replace one of the threshold runs instead. My Tuesday hilly run, still been taking an easy pace, but of course my heart rate goes up when I'm running uphill, even if it's slowly. My question is it better to replace an easy run or a threshold run in this case?
Interesting for what they're doing. Yeah, cool. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
For what they're training for right now, you would, well, in my opinion, I would replace the threshold run, uh, not the easy run. And that's just because time on feet, um, and potentially that easy run to be not necessarily, it has to be like a hill, like a strength run, but to get some hills involved would be beneficial as well.
Yep.
That's my answer, Anthony. You?
Yeah, I mean, they said that they've already been doing a Tuesday hilly run that's at an easy pace. Remember, for right now, like your easy pace, monitor your heart rate, and it doesn't mean you have to run the same pace you would on flat. It means that you have to like keep your effort level about the same. Same thing if you're going to change one of your thresholds, you can absolutely change a threshold session to an uphill threshold session. Happens all
Mm.
the time. Um, just make sure your effort level. Don't be trying to run your flat land threshold pace on an incline all of a sudden. You're going to be way overworking. So
Yeah.
your pace would come down as you increase the incline, and you would monitor your perceived effort level or your heart rate, depending on how you gauge it yourself.
So yeah, correct. Yeah. Um.
And I say it only has a benefit to be able to do that. So go for it.
mm, yeah. Yeah.
So
Agreed.
uh, that was a pretty quick question. But I'd just like to
Yeah.
say, guys, I saw a bunch of comments. I'm really sorry we obviously weren't we didn't do a podcast for a little bit, but these comments are on uh, Spotify and YouTube, and I we will address them actually later. I'll carry over the rest of the questions and these comments to our next episode. Um, and I know JK, he's got to get out of here. He's got to go run 7K.
I've got to go run. I've got to go run, get my kilometers this week.
That's
But
right.
Anthony, no. First of all, thanks for the work that you put in for this podcast, and we'd love to get everyone's feedback or thoughts on the matter as well. So, thank you, and thank you for listening as well, guys. And we will see you in the next episode.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. If you'd like to reach out and get in contact with us, you can email the Hybrid Coaching Podcast at gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram either at the Hybrid Engine or at jk.jameskelly. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.